Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.
Hello friends, I'm your pal in the mainstream media.
And I'm your Riz.
And you know, Riz, it takes years of strenuous, dedicated training before you're worthy to step inside a professional wrestling ring. But it takes even more time to develop complex, highly astute opinions about professional wrestling. Am I right?
That is correct. You know where we can find that?
Yes,
In the Wrestling Ham.
that's right.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.
Hello friends, I'm your pal in the mainstream media.
And I'm your Riz.
And you know, Riz, it takes years of strenuous, dedicated training before you're worthy to step inside a professional wrestling ring. But it takes even more time to develop complex, highly astute opinions about professional wrestling. Am I right?
That is correct. You know where we can find that?
Yes,
In the Wrestling Ham.
that's right.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast. It's time to get awesome, get geeky. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, PA. Solo today. It is Monday, the 10th, if you guys are checking us out later. And of course, I am here just hanging out. I'm actually in a trip here this week, and they said we're going to put some special content here. So a little bit of an experiment, because, you know, once again, to get myself in practice and just dedicating to making sure something's in the feed thing that I've preached to my students at the Point Park podcasting class here in recent weeks. The show needs to go on as much as possible, whenever possible. So I am going to go through the show. I don't have a special conversation here or anything like that, but I'm going to go through the typical show format here, solo, to see if I still got the chops to do something like this. So and once again, keep me in practice. I'm going to be traveling in planes and who knows what this weekend, and we're not doing Wrestling Mayhem show because we pre-taped that last week. So very interesting. Also, if you are interested, we do a fun thing over there called a Mayhem Wed game. This is the third year we've done this, and it is our own version of the Newlywed Game with pro wrestlers, the pro wrestling couples in some manner. So I recommend that. It was a lot of fun this year. I think I've really honed in on being a game show host, at least as best as possible as I can in a podcast environment like this. But I definitely recommend checking it out. That'll be dropping at 9 p.m. on the Wrestling Mayhem Show channels and podcasts and everything too. So go check that out. Recommend it. It was a lot of fun, and definitely some coarse language if you're not down for that. But anyways, I am here, and it is time for the... That is right, and for me this week, it's something I started kind of like noticing a trend of, and I want to start following more into, because I did notice this one pop up. There's two hashtags that have some significance on TikTok this week, and also I also keep forgetting that TikTok is still not in the App Store, although it feels like we're all kind of using it, right? Personally, and we had not used it for a little bit. We were doing TikTok live streams on Thursday nights for the Thursday Night Fights training nights that we've been doing with 880 Wrestling in the South Side. And we finally returned to it since we're finally starting to get a little more confidence in the space that we're in from week to week here, having moved from New Kensington, so we can do the production and start, getting back to some of our stuff we were playing with before. And we typically just put up a phone and TikTok, because that's the only thing that they seem to care about. Because whenever I was doing the production with a laptop and having the full stream go in there with the graphics and the camera shots and everything, we had nobody watching. But you put a phone up in the corner on the ring, and we had 70,000 hits one week. It was crazy. And we're still not doing too bad. It's getting like 2,000 hits a week and stuff like that. But I think we're still in a real rebuilding and consistency phase when it comes to that. Maybe it's because of the holidays. Maybe it's because of all the stuff that happened in the U.S. With things that's kind of killing people being a part of that. Who knows? But in the meantime, we're going to continue with that and see if it does rebuild. I'm really fascinated to see what the trend line is going to be on that, maybe coming back to where we were. Or maybe we just got caught when, the algorithm was lucky to us one night when not a lot was going on or something. I felt like we saw that with Caffeine TV about a year ago when we were experimenting with that. R.I.P. Caffeine TV. Anyways, we won't get into that discussion again. But I saw a hashtag today. I went back to a story that I shared earlier in the week on the AwesomeCast Facebook group, and I noticed a little bit of trend through on those. First of all, the one that I noticed today was one called World Talk, and it was the perfect one to introduce me to this idea that basically the world had noticed that the morning hours or whatever it was where the U.S. was all out and out banned from TikTok. The tone of TikTok changed. Good or bad and different. I haven't really caught what the line of that is, but there is something called hashtag World Talk. And if you follow that hashtag and get into a lot of that, it looks like that's something that can be, you can kind of get into. And I think that's what's important about this. We get a very Americanized perspective on things. I think it's important to see what things look like outside of the United States. And that is something that you can follow along. And that's pretty, and actually, I think this is the guy that was, Terry J. Geo on here. Also, bear with me. I have new progressive lenses I got today that for the first time, and I'm trying to figure out how these things work because it's a new concept to me. But yeah, so World Talk looks very interesting. Oh no, my Roomba just started up apparently. So we're gonna fix that while we're live on the air. I just heard it boot, so we're gonna check on that. Anyways, I might have a guest. The guest is Flortista here in the office. So we're going to make sure that's not going to happen. But anyways, we are live. It's fine. But no, I think that World Talk is a really important thing, and follow that hashtag. I think it's good if you follow that. You'll put a trend into your TikTok, and you'll get some of those outside perspectives. Especially, I know mine because a little bit obsessing over recent events, not appropriately applying my own advice a little bit on here. But I am getting a lot of political commentary and things like that, and a lot of even just clips from news shows and those kinds of things. A couple of politicians that I think are putting a positive spin on things that are going on right now. That I'm concerned about, personally. So I'm not seeing Jack the Whipper in Disney videos as much as I used to, and I need to get back to that, or at least something different and something positive, which TikTok generally had been for me for the longest time, and I just fell into a algorithm trap or something there, right? So hashtag World Talk, look it up on there if you're on the TikTok still, and kind of see, get those different perspectives. I think that's really, really important for people to have those perspectives and be able to do that. What's up, Dave Podnar out in the chat? I know you're coming back. You had a day out in the office and everything and couldn't join me here for this. So that's fine. We're gonna have a nice quick episode here and hopefully get enough in your ears for this week so you do get a little bit of the awesomeness. So thank you everybody that is joining us over there. Going to my secondary part for the awesome thing, the other trend was hashtag book talk. Now listen, I'm not a book reader. I can't even my Audible list is deep, and I haven't been running as I was to listen to things outdoors and things. Of course, the traffic, the weather and everything has not been great for that. But anyways, I did like this because the reason I bring this up. And this is a backtrack on another story that I was looking at here. And again, I'm still getting used to these progressive lenses, so excuse me for my slowness here. But I thought this is a really cool related article here from Axios. It's talking about Barnes & Noble is to add 60 new stores as bookstore revival picks up speed. How crazy is that? They're talking about 60 new stores, and they're talking about they had 3 that they opened in 2020. They had 30 in 23, 57 last year in 2024, right? So bookstores aren't dead, guys, especially at least, the mega bookstore chain at least. And no, it's not not Amazon, but it's still kind of a big, conglomerated, thingy, right? And it's just a quick article that's just, and I love Axios because, political, things that I can't get. Axios is really good about breaking down, hey, I love they just like, this is why it matters is the big picture, not just like, here's a bunch of paragraphs of information, right? It is very like, here's what you need to know and moving on. So which I think fits a lot of our attention and lives a little bit better. So I recommend Axios for that. I believe, I think it lands a little bit on the left of center line of things as far as what their discussions on there. So take that in mind, wherever you fall on that scale and want to have in your thing. But I do like what they do, at least informational wise. I think they're very good at that, personally, from what I've been viewing. Breaking that down, and they said a big part of this was the boom of Book Talk is a thriving community, according to the Axios, of book lovers sharing recommendations on TikTok. And I love that old school media just smashing with new school media with TikTok. So that's a really cool thing, a really positive, situation where it's like, okay, the social media is helping a brick and mortar business of all things, kind of, grow in this day and age where it seems like everything that we know is being shuttered, especially the mom and pops and stuff like this. And it does go into, there is like a little bit of a Boston bookstore boom that was a part of this as the follow-up article. Of course, they're really good about pairing these. Okay. Oh yeah. Axios is definitely a master of the infinite scroll, by the way. So watch yourself on that. You might get yourself in trouble. So I think it's really worthwhile to kind of look at that. So that is my awesome thing of the week. So again, TikTok just still, despite everything in the conversation and everything, still very effective when it comes to things like this. And I'm just kind of appreciating that in general. So that is my. Those are really good for me to get a breather when I'm doing a solo show, I'm realizing, right? Anyways, and then when do I drink when I do a solo show, right? Like the coffee is right over there. And I'm not even going to, this is the ASMR slurp break for you guys, brought to our Patreon providers at patreon.com/awesomecast. Let's do it that way. That's a good transition for you. But no, thank you everybody that does support us on AwesomeCast. Of course, no Patreon special, and actually I double dropped last week because I realized we didn't get the one from the week before. And also, let me know, do you want the Patreons later in the week? Does that help you kind of digest them or anything like that? Looking for the feedback from you guys because I know you guys are out there listening, and you guys are obviously supporting the show. And thank you to everybody that does support the show, including at the executive producer level, Brian Crawford of the New Pittsburgh Exhibition. Look them up on social media and everything to see what's going on there. At the coffee club level, Cynthia Klosky, our friend over at Shift Collaborative, a longtime friend, pre-show actually. And of course at the fan show level, John DeGore and Dave Podnar, who I think is still in the chat room as well. Oh, good. I think that was my Roomba just charging up, and it didn't actually execute. I don't know when it decides to do it anymore because my schedule's all out of whack. I mean, my history says December 29th, 2024. That's not true. So, and I think I got to clean a brush or something. Anyways, moving on, and make sure I got a chat room up there for people too. But no, thank you for supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast for everything going on there. and I'm going to not go away from the microphone there. Old thing of the week. We had a. I wanted to reminisce on that because hold on, I should have grabbed it. Hold on. This is just you can tell we're live because I did not plan this because it's over here and I'm like, why aren't we doing this? Why don't we have visuals when it comes to this stuff? Here's a visual. I like visuals on my podcast. Sorry, audio people. But anyways, no, we did have a fun time. I think it's the third year we've done this. We had a really good thing last year where we had a lot of wrestlers kind of fill out a tournament. But even, I think everybody's busy, whatever's going on. But we got this old GameCube dusted off here. It's getting a little discolored for sure, that plastic, that kind of stuff. But anyways, I guess maybe it was in the sun. Now I'm looking at it. Now I'm seeing the way that this goes. Maybe I did have a little too close to a window. But I just blew all that dust directly towards my coffee. So this guy, we broke out because for the Super Bowl, I love that Aaron and Katie brought soup for the Super Bowls. For the Super Bowl, is I got my coffee, dusted up my copy of GameCube's NFL Blitz 2002. Last year we did this, and we got it here, and I realized none of the controllers worked anymore for the GameCube because it's been a little bit since I've broke that out. So I bought like whatever cheap replacement ones that they got, and literally like right after the thing last year, and I think we didn't use them until yesterday. They seem to work very, very well. And we got everybody's colors. Katie got her pink one. I got my purple one. We're all good to go, right? There's a blue one for Missy if she ever wants to play. She hasn't. But and I have printed out from I don't know when codes for your login for NFL Plus. So if you don't know, if you're not, and for some reason this has two, I got this used for sure. This is a DVD case. This isn't even a proper GameCube case, right? And it's got two instruction booklets for some reason. So that's really interesting. No, Blitz is one of my favorite. It's one of the first games I got when I had an N64. It may have even come with the one that I bought off of somebody used. So it's and I don't even know if they would even have any game like this these days. And that's why I kind of love it, because it's such a time capsule when it comes to that. Because, I mean, can you think of like a football game, if you're a football game player, that you from 20 years ago you want to play, other than like maybe Madden, 93 or something like that, right? Or 96 maybe. And because I know the NHL and the Madden games, like the best one from the Genesis, like came out as a pack a little bit ago. But no, this is always a blast. Obviously the graphics get a little funky, especially if you're streaming them and noticing how bad they are. But it's Smash Mouth. It's all about late hits. It's a big throwing game. Your first downs are 30 yards instead of 10. And just way, way, way over the top. And the thing I really appreciated about this when we got into it, like I've had this game for 20 years. I never dived into, you see the clowns and you see the cowboys in this. You have the codes you can pop in. You think NBA Jam, there's big head mode and all those kinds of things. And I think like Bill Clinton was a player at some point, that you could be a special character on there. So it's that kind of thing. So there you go. Everybody's going over like a cowboy guy in a giant cowboy hat. We had these the entire team was robots for a bit of it here too. So that was a really cool, fun thing that we were able to do here with the Film Blitz. And then we played for like 2.5 hours and swapped out for a little bit. Eventually, just like Katie and Riz go with this because they're great playing games together. But really appreciating that. And there's newer games, of course. They eventually lost the NFL. They did a pro one year, which looks like it's not even nearly as fun to me. I want to get the 2003 version because I do have that for Hits, which was the hockey version of this. They had one called Slugfest, and this is the same guys that did like NBA Jam, which I think a lot of people would remember from back in the day, which has gotten re-released over the years. I know I have a version that was on like Live Arcade for the Xbox 360 that thankfully still plays on the Xbox One. And I think the game on your iPhone is still active as well, which means there should be one on Android too. So a lot of fun with that. But that's NBA Jam, of course. NFL Blitz, highly recommended. If you have the opportunity, if you have an old console, and again, this is the era. It was like the N64, the PlayStation 2, probably original Xbox, and the What am I missing there? PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube. Yeah, GameCube. Yeah, the one in my hand. So if you have a console of that era and find yourself at a used video game store, which the best opportunity is independent ones, because I don't think GameStop has a lot of these old ones unless you look online these days. They feel like I mean, every time I walk by it at the mall, it just looks like a pop store, a Funko Pop store, which is like half of them comic book stores. Yeah. Anyways, so highly recommend an NFL Blitz game. Pick yourself, and if you want the other stuff, again, hits, NHL hits, MLB Slugfest they were talking about yesterday when we were doing this. Whichever, and I don't like football games, to be honest. I don't like Madden games or anything like that. I think it would be fun still to like just drop in like I think I might have an Madden one that came with the NC4 that I've like never played. It's just, the people I got it from were big sports fans, so there was a couple copies of things that were in there, right? As you do when you get used stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, if you go over it on the Wrestling Mayhem Show YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and you can, if you want to check out some of that playthrough that was happening and see what we were experiencing there as we were playing a little bit of NFL Blitz in preparation for the Super Bowl. I can still say that on the podcast, right? Like we were watching the Super Bowl. Like we're not advertising anything when it comes to that. Anyways, so going along here, and I see Dave Podnar, you're chatting up in the chat room, bro. It seems like the TikTok algorithm has changed. I'm curious about this too, and again, I'm just putting this out there for chat room to talk at me or anybody out there later. I keep seeing this one about Facebook is on TikTok, and you should block it so your For You feed goes back to normal. So let me know, DMs, chat room, if there's any truth to that, if you're noticing anything about that. But I'm kind of curious about that kind of thing. So anyways, either way, we'll see how all of that plays out in the long run. Couple other items here, and we'll get out of here for the week. This could be the awesome thing or old school of the week. We talked about several weeks ago. Remember when I went down the rat hole about Nintendo Power Magazine is up on archive.org. Archive.org, and I'm sure archive.org probably has a lot of these too if you go search for it. But there's another resource of note here. This is the if you go to gamehistory.com, which seems like a pretty cool. I don't know what they're based out of anything. This is something somebody was chatting up or last week, or I saw a story or something. I can't figure out where the source was. So they have a bit in here, a nice article about Video Game History Foundation, and the library is opening up early access for free for everyone. And there's a little video here that goes through some of it, and it's everything from like press kits, artwork, out of print video game magazines, which is we'll get to in a second here. But you can really kind of get in here, and the Mark Flitman papers is one thing that it kind of puts over here about what's going on there. This is not the link that I clicked on before, apparently. But the cool thing that I think you can directly kind of jump into here is archive.gamehistory.org. Sorry, new glasses, who's this? But you can get into that, again, these Mark Flitman papers I talked about. GamePro Press CD collection I thought was kind of interesting. I can't remember, I don't remember GamePro having CDs, like press CDs or something like that. But this was, they screen capped a lot of this stuff to get in here. But the cool thing is going to the magazine library where they do have computer game review, computer game strategy plus. There's going to be a lot of these you probably know. Kim Kane Games, Computer Entertainment, Game Fan, Game Informer was a big one that I followed for a long time. Do they have Next Gen? Next Generation. Next Gen was my favorite one. Dreamcast magazine is in here. Next Generation got shortened to Next Gen for a bit, but this was a big one. These ones, they were talking, to me, Next Gen was cool because they were talking about games when they were basically in development. And that was a pretty cool, I was really kind of geeked out about them talking about a lot of the technology and stuff around this at the time, right? And of course, a lot of these, I remember reading articles on the early, BioShock game and everything like that, and just, kind of the promise of this thing, the long promise of this thing, right? And it's kind of wild to go back and read, okay, what did they actually execute? Because you get a look of what, there's one of my favorites, Shenmue, for instance. Is this the first one, maybe? Feels like it's early on. No, yeah. So Sega's Shenmue, make it make you forget about the PlayStation 2 is the story. And I got to tell you, the Shenmue was pretty freaking awesome at the time. So I was really, and even just look at the ads. This is a game, Dreamcast Blue Stinger. I have no idea what this is. It looks like it's a Capcom game, right? Activision, okay. But it's a nice, again, I talked about time capsules before. Oh man, Tomb Raider: The Last Revolution. That's when Revelation. That's when it was going downhill for sure. But here's an ad for Army Men Air Attack for the buy 3DO for the Sony PlayStation. Again, really kind of a nice time capsule. QuakeCon. How about QuakeCon, whatever year this is? Microsoft to introduce console. Sources close to Microsoft claim the game's only set-top box is in development at Redmond. This wasn't even Microsoft was involved with the Dreamcast at the time. The preliminary. I'm really curious to kind of bump into this and look at these specs, right? And for those that know the Xbox, it was the first one with a hard drive and everything in it. And it's the Xbox is still early in development. Preliminary specs call for a 500 megahertz Intel processor, either a Pentium or a Celeron, paired with a high-end graphics technology like NVIDIA's NV10 technology or the 3DFX Voodoo 3. Jeez. I think they went NVIDIA in that first one, and of course ATI, AMD seems to have taken over ever since as far as the consoles go, as much as I can recall. So again, gives you a really good it's a mock-up. It's an artist's conception of what they thought Microsoft's Xbox would be. It looks nothing like. They're using a PC Sidewinder controller, and it just looks like almost like a CD Walkman at this point, right? So it's really fun to see what we thought might be happening, what we speculated might be happening, and versus now what we know as history, right? Earlier, Unreal, God, they talked about Unreal Engine so much in this. Bleem, oh my God. There's some old technology for you. Bleem was the commercial PlayStation emulation, right? This thing, guys, I'm giving like three flashbacks now. Bleem was a thing. They created an emulator. When emulators, we're still kind of talking over emulators, right? You had to, it was for the PC. You got this thing. You installed it on your computer. You basically got downloads all the time. And it would allow you to play your Sony PlayStation 1 discs on the PC and apply the graphics technology of your 3DFX Voodoo card at the time, Voodoo 2, whatever it was, to this because if you play old PlayStation 1 games, things are obviously a little bit blocky and things, right? So that technology would really smooth things over a little bit. And it was very cool for that kind of thing. And I lost my I lost my live stream chat, so I'm going to get back to that in a moment here, Podnar. But yeah, no, it was really cool for that. And then I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they had a version for the Dreamcast where they had a pack. It's like you buy a thing. I think like 4 PlayStation games would work if you put this disc in first and kind of went from there, right? So that was a really interesting concept. Obviously, it didn't take off, and I think they got sued out of existence by Sony in the long run. So it was really kind of sad. So anyways, and yep, no confirmation on the Facebook on TikTok situation there. I think that's a weird thing that seemed like a peculiar thing. So go check that out. Again, that is archive.gamehistory.org if you want to dive straight into all those magazines and printed and press materials. I still have a press kit. Man, I had a thing. Man, I wish people were here to talk to. I could talk to you about this. You're out here, obviously. There was I was doing reviews. This is like late high school probably, but there was some website you could sign up for that they would send you review copies of video games, and you submitted them. I don't know where they went. I don't know if I'm in print somewhere on 1998 internet or something like that, but I got for free several games, including the Sega games. I think we got from that, maybe not Virtua Fighter, but like Virtua Cop, I believe came from that. I know Activision games that were really big. We got a copy of Quake 2. And I believe Interstate 76 through this way. Full-fledged box copies of these things. Remember the big boxes back then for PCs. just to have your CD-ROM in there, I guess. But then we would get press kits. Somewhere around here I have, and probably in my basement or something in a box, I have press kits with nice embroidered Activision logos on them and had all the sheets and stuff, all the press sheets for the games. So, and again, did my little reviews, turned them in. Kind of had a business. I kind of had a version like that with music with a certain provider in the 2000s when we were doing stuff. So, anyways, yeah, back when the consoles came out quicker, it was a more rapid pace. I want to look at that. I want to see that timeline of releases and see what the age is for some of those consoles. And also, we have a sliding console because I think the consoles may come out quicker now, but I can play all my Xbox games from 10 years ago on the Xbox now, or whenever that came out, right? I think it's just a little bit of a different equation than it used to be. One or two stories I got left here, and we'll bounce for this episode, but maybe just one story. Yes, only one story. I thought this was cool. And again, any way for kids to get into space and maybe want to get into engineering or something like this, anything STEM like this, I love this kind of stuff. But they're announcing this is on the 12th. It is now the 10th. So by the time you hear this on Wednesday, it's going to be going down. So NASA is hosting a Twitch stream from space this week, and there's an article from CNET about how to watch. You'll be able to talk to two astronauts during a chat about daily life on the International Space Station. That's very cool. I'd love to know more about the technology around this, for instance, right? Yeah, they're going to hang out on the Twitch chat to discuss things, and they're going to be, this is Don Petit, I think the name is, and Matt Dominic are going to be a part of that too, who is actually on Earth after returning with Crew 8 back in October. He was one of those that was delayed after being delayed by Hurricane Milton. But yeah, so there's and they're apparently share their amazing pictures from this. So that's a really cool thing. You can go to NASA's Twitch channel. That is going to be, it says 11:45 a.m. Eastern on February 12th if you want to go check that out. I'll be traveling, unfortunately, and I think I'm going to be occupied whenever that goes down. But in the meantime, go check it out. So some very cool things going on there this week. Thank you, everybody that does check out everything that we're doing on the AwesomeCast here. If you want to check out things, if you want to say never do a solo show again, please give me that feedback as well. And so thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week. Again, I believe there's some back and forth on what we're doing here. But for next week, we'll be in Ann Arbor. I believe that's going to be a hotel remote show. I'm hoping I can get somebody here in the studio to run the show so that we're not doing that whole, stripped down version of what we usually do when we do this. I hate doing that kind of show. So thank you so much. And, hey, guys, take care of yourselves out there. Again, I'll be on traveling this week. I will be back in time, allegedly, to do the training nights for Thursday Night Fights on Thursday. And, of course, we have the 880s Misconnections, which is going to be a really fun show on Friday that we'll be producing. And then I'll be back to directing at RWA's show, Fury, I think is the show this Saturday. And shouts out to Norm Connors, who I got to do some work with on his day job in the last week or so. So, again, thank you so much. You have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at Sorgatron.